All right, it's my first proper day back in Fukuoka because I got in yesterday after the sun was already down. And this is like a fucking enormous magic trick. Like one of those huge ones back in the day where it would be like, David Copperfield's gonna make the Statue of Liberty disappear, like some ridiculously huge thing. Because I was walking around last night in the pitch blackness, and it was just pitch black, and I had no sense of how close I was to the mountain, to the Aburiyama Mountains. Are they all called Aburiyama? I don't know. I'm gonna have to learn, I guess. That's what they're called over by Umebayashi Station. But there's no lights on those mountains. Like in Vancouver, even if you showed up at night, you wouldn't have a great sense of the mountains despite how huge they are. But you'd see some lights up there. There's at least like ski lodges and some stuff. You see twinkly lights up in the sky, and it's kind of cool. Not here. Here there's nothing, which is why I gotta be a little mindful when I go up there, that I'm not up there when it gets dark, because it's gonna be the darkest thing that ever existed. The episode just started, but already a time jump. I just found a secondhand store called Second Street that's very much like Hard Off, but playing really cool music instead of the horrifying Hard Off jingle. It was playing music that I'd describe as light Jamiroquai, which might sound like redundant, but hey, Jamiroquai, man. Jamiroquai can rock when they need to rock. But in there, I was looking at Bluetooth headphones because I got these cool wireless headphones in Akiruno that I figured I'd keep my eyes peeled if I saw any more, just as backups, because these things were like $20 and they're awesome. And they're Sony. Sony is nice because you can always trust. You can count on Sony. There's no such thing as bad Sony headphones. You can get the cheapest ones you can find, and they'll be good, even if they cost like $12. They're fine. So they had a bunch of Bluetooth headphones that were much more expensive. Specifically, I want these ones that have a wire, so the two sides are wired together. Because I only just recently learned that those exist, and they're super cool. So they have more expensive ones if I really needed a new pair. I'd do a little research, I don't know, I just had such bad experiences with headphones. When you buy weird brands, you can spend a ton of money on headphones that sound like shit. So I'm only gonna buy unnecessary backup copies if they're Sony. But within all the stuff that was like $60, $100, whatever, there was a pair that was 300 yen. It's like $3. And I used my little Google Translate, like, does this say broken? Does this say for parts only? Like 300 yen, what in the heck? So I'm curious to try them out because even if they sound like shit, if they work at all, like that's fine. I just don't understand why they're so fantastically cheap. So I'll experiment with that later. Sorry though, geez, I immediately got distracted already before I had a chance to say anything. But yeah, what I was saying is the magic trick. I was walking all around yesterday and everything was very dark out. So today I leave the house and I turn the corner and it's this like incline that goes up and turns the corner that I walked both ways along it yesterday. And all I saw in the backdrop was just the darkness of night, because Japan in the late fall, when it gets dark, it is fucking dark. It is just complete, utter darkness. So I turned the corner and boom, the mountains they're bigger than I remember. I think they must be bigger over on this end than they are by Umebayashi Station. Because by Umebayashi, I go hike up them. In fact, that's what I'm going to go do today. This doesn't look like something you could hike up. This looks insane. I'm looking at them right now. This is like Skyrim, like you're at the edge of the map. This means you cannot proceed. Even the big mountains by Itsukaishi Station, way at the edge of Akiruno, even the really big mountains there, these are a bit bigger. They're so big. And it's just like, holy fuck, that's so crazy that was there yesterday. That's been there the whole time. That's everywhere. When you're at this end of town by the mountains, in the southern part of Fukuoka, you can't not see the mountains. They're fucking everywhere. It's just like, whoa, like that was hidden there all night last night. It's just such a cool feeling. It's so weird. And then as I was walking along, I inadvertently passed one of the things I passed last night, which was a really cool children's playground that was like a castle, where I was like, oh, that thing looks fun. I want to climb on that. And I took a picture of it and put it on Instagram. I was like, that thing rules. So today I saw it again, and behind it, yet again, secret hidden information. A gigantic, super beautiful mountain. Just sitting there, taking up the entire horizon. It's like, that's fucking awesome. That is so cool. So yeah, I am closer to the mountains than I thought I was. But I don't know how to approach them from here. I've only gone up by Umebayashi Station or a little east of there where the Aburiyama Katai observation deck is. It's a ludicrous 22 degrees out, which is so stupid warm. And tomorrow it's also supposed to be 20 degrees. Then after this, it's supposed to drop way down to like 12 degrees, 14 degrees. Which sounds like a big drop, but that's still very nice weather, and that'll probably be better. Because I have a lot of memories of hiking up this mountain in 2019 in the summer, where I am not a take off my shirt kind of guy, but it was so hot and so humid, and I was hiking up a hill that a lot of times, I was like, I gotta take off this shirt or I'm gonna die. So it'll actually probably be good once the weather cuts a little, just to avoid that fate. Nobody needs to see this skeleton walking around, these fucking xylophone ribs. So I'm almost to my goal, my Umebayashi Station goal. And yeah, these mountains are much bigger than I remembered. Like, they're just huge, and it's like, these are them? I think partially maybe in my mind I reduced how big I thought they were because I hiked up these things all the time. When I visited Fukuoka in 2019, my Airbnb was right by Umebayashi Station, and I found this cool little path up into these woods. So now I'm kind of forcing it. Now I've got to walk for an hour or so to get to this starting point, because I'm also not near a train line. But yeah, for the 3 weeks I was here, I went up them every second day, probably, just like a ton. So I'm looking at this mountain and I'm like, I did that every day or two? What the fuck? But now that I think about it, there are intense stairs at the start. And there are parts on the mountain where there are houses that go all the way up to like halfway up. So now that I recall better, the first step is to go up these insane stairs, the biggest stairs I've ever been up in my whole life. And that gets you to basically the top of the highest neighborhood, the neighborhood that most encroaches on the mountain, and then a little higher up than that. And then from there is the beginning of the mountain path. So I think that sort of explains it. These mountains are pretty fucking big. But I'm technically kind of starting halfway up. It's gonna be weird too. I'm getting close. Going up those stairs again after 4 years. Those stairs, they're just harsh. They're so brutal. But yeah, this is kind of interesting, is there's unfortunately this hour-long walk I've got to take. There's not a very quiet way to do it, because there's like a giant overpass, like a big overhead highway that travels along beside the mountain. And that was always very handy to me back in the day, because if I saw the overpass, I'd be like, oh, cool, I can just follow the overpass and I'll get back to my Airbnb at the time. But now, to make my way across town, I don't have a ton of options besides following the overpass. Everything else is a twisty, dead-end neighborhood that I can't really cut through. So it's not the greatest walk in the world. Gotta walk along the superhighway. But then I hit a point where it's like, oh, here we go. I recognize this stuff. This was all what I would do before, since my loop would start at Umebayashi, and I would go up usually to the Aburiyama Katai observation deck, then back down the observation deck, and then this would be my route back home. Now it's my route to get to the start. So forcing this nostalgia run of getting to Umebayashi is, I do have to force it. It's a little, it's not just like outside of my front door like it used to be. But this isn't too far away, and I'm here for about a week and a half. But then my next Airbnb is like an additional hour further away. So it'd be a 2-hour walk to do this. So at that point, I think this first Airbnb, this is where I'll get in my nostalgia. And then next Airbnb, the mountain range just goes on and on and on and on. So I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to approach the mountain that I may even start to explore before then, but at that point, for sure. And yeah, they weren't kidding about this 22 degrees shit. The longer I walk, the hotter it gets. It's like, oh fuck, this is absolutely, I'm just right back there. Except that there's still fall colors on the leaves. I guess that's a little different. But this feels about as close to a time warp as I can get. All right, so I'm gonna do the whole thing. Do it properly today. Gonna go to Umebayashi, gonna walk past my old Airbnb, gonna go to the 7-Eleven that I always went to that's really close. That's where I'm gonna gear up to head up this mountain. And then I'll hop back in, because it's obviously a lot quieter once you're on a mountain trail. Though the trade-in is hearing me huff and puff. But yeah, this is pretty cool, dude. Holy shitballs. So I'm walking right by my old Airbnb. It's very distinctive. It's this yellow building, and it's right in front of a big slope that goes down into a field, like a rice field. And across from it is a greenhouse. So there's really nothing in the way from here in the mountains besides a greenhouse, which is pretty. And yeah, just seeing this again, I can really understand why I was so obsessed with this mountain. It's so fucking beautiful. I tried taking a picture. It just doesn't work. It doesn't come across properly. But yeah, that's where this is like, there's a bunch of ways to approach specifically this observation deck. If you look it up on Google Maps and stuff, they'll tell you like, oh, here's the bus you can take and the paved path that goes up to the observation deck, but it's all like tough to get to. This one is amazing because I just walked, like I can see that big super overpass mega highway right behind me, but I'm just far enough that you really can't hear it, but it is just right there. Umebayashi Station, which is Umebayashi, just an obscure weird little station nobody uses. I almost walked right by it. I'm like, oh yeah, here it is. Like, you really kind of got to be looking. But from there, it's such a quick little walk. And there's like a little bit of a neighborhood. There's the aforementioned greenhouse. There's a 7-Eleven right behind here. So that's also perfect. Between here and the mountain is a 7-Eleven. And that's all you need to fuel up. And there's a path here that it is hard to find. It took me several days to figure out how to approach this mountain, but once you do, you get onto a path that's not hard to follow that also takes you to the observation deck. And it's one of my proudest achievements in Japan is that I discovered this thing, and I added my way to get to the mountain onto the Google Maps entry, and I made a little YouTube video that's the only video I took in 2019. I didn't have a gimbal or anything, so it's awful. It's such a terrible looking video because everything's all shaky and stuff. But it's called How to Hike to the Aburayama Katai Observation Deck, if you're curious. And yeah, it's like it's peak Japan. It's perfect. There's a subway station. You can just take a subway ride right here from downtown. You get to walk through a neighborhood that's still very pretty. Yeah, you can see this time of year, these, I think they're rice paddies, but they're dry. These things were shockingly loud in the summer, where they're filled with frogs, and between the frogs and the cicadas, it was like, shit, they're loud. Right now it's dry though. And then yeah, 7-Eleven, and then a walk up into a beautiful mountain. It's fucking, like, it's everything. It's everything that I fucking want in my life. Right here. But yeah, this is cool because there's not a ton of mountain stuff obviously in Tokyo, and even once I got to the outskirts, that stuff was cool in Ekiruno. but it's not as immediate and as accessible as it is here in Fukuoka. Like I was saying, I can see from here, the neighborhood goes halfway up the mountain. It just like spills. It looks like the buildings are spilling up the mountain. And then it just hits a point where it's finally like, okay, this is a mountain now. We got to stop. But yeah, just this perfectly beautiful, verdant mountain that is just covered in trees and it just goes on, and it goes all the way west and all the way east, and it's just like fucking beautiful. Like, I don't know how, I've said before how I'm not trying to move to Japan. I don't really want to live in Japan, all the bureaucracy and trying to culturally assimilate. I'm not interested in all that stuff. But if I was an old man, because I met some old people on this mountain hiking, and it's such a good way to keep yourself motivated. Get a dog, go hiking every day. And like, I've never seen a situation in the world better than this, where you just leave your house and can just go hiking immediately, but you still have all the conveniences of a city right here. And even though this specific neighborhood is like nothing, there's no coffee shops, there's no malls, there's nothing, but the subway is right there if you want any of that stuff. I mean, in this specific building is so perfect, where I was on the second floor and this perfect view of the mountains, and it was this really cool apartment. That's what I would want to do when I'm old. I mean, it's all just, I don't know how I would ever arrange any of this stuff. I'd have to be, if I was a millionaire somehow. Though even if you're a millionaire, PewDiePie, the YouTuber, he tried to move to Japan during COVID times, or like had it in motion, and then COVID happened, and apparently, it took extra years, many years. He's here now, but even with millions, it's a huge bureaucratic to do. It's not easy to do. But I just feel like this would be my perfect retirement. I want to live in that building and I want to hike this mountain just to keep me from the grave, just to keep me, every day it's like that motivation. I gotta stay fit to some degree to be able to hike up a mountain. I think that'd be awesome. Anyway, speaking of, what time is it? Once we get up on the mountain, I'm going to yammer a bit about my Airbnb experiences so far. This 6 tatami cool little room I'm in. Almost 3 o'clock. Yeah, I was up really late last night, and then I didn't wake up till noon. So it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go. But today, it's nice because I'm not exploring this mountain so much. I did that in 2019. I'm sure I got some more explorations in me. But today, I got a preset path. I know where to go, so I know this is safe. Even though I've only got 2 hours of sun, that's okay. I got a route I can take to reacquaint myself with this mountain that guaranteed, very easy, can't get lost, will definitely get me up and then back down before it's dark. And I just was spotting as I walked by, because this was a weird case where the Airbnb listing isn't deactivated. And in fact, they updated the description to say, definitely some post-COVID stuff of like air filters and stuff, don't worry about COVID. But it was one of those cases where it wasn't showing up on any maps. I could only see it because I'd been there before, and there were no bookings for years, Just everything was quote unquote open, but nobody had reviewed the thing since like 2020. It was a very confusing listing, because at least the other ones, if I spied enough, I could figure out, okay, it says here it's deactivated or whatever. So I considered sending them a message, because I like this place so much, and just being like, just what is going on? This is not an Airbnb anymore, right? It's just a normal apartment. But it was clear that it was. No reviews for years. It's not active right now. But I noticed all the Airbnbs I've stayed at, they've got a distinct big sticker on the door that says it's like a hotel type lodging, rental type lodging. And none of the doors on this building have that. So yeah, I gotta presume it's just a normal apartment now. You lucky fucking prick, whoever lives there. Man, this is so cool too. I forgot about this. This is on a different building across the street, but it says Home Umabayashi Base. It's like, yep, you sure are, dude. Even when I can't stay here, I will walk across town just to come back here. This is my spiritual base. I guess quite a bit of this podcast has been me sort of trying to determine, like, what's my favorite neighborhood in Japan? And it's so tough because they're all so good in different ways. But Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe, I am tired. Maybe it's because I'm a little overexhausted. But I'm feeling a little tightness in my throat. I think this has got to be my favorite. This feels very good to be back to. Man, so the mountains were a lot bigger than I remembered, but those stairs, I'm glad to say, are smaller than I remembered. It really wasn't that bad. Compared to that park in western Tokyo, whose name I don't recall at this very moment, those steps were, Kamine Park, I think, those steps were such a fucking nightmare. They were twice as bad as this, 3 times as bad. This isn't that bad anymore. I think I've recalibrated my idea of what difficult stairs are. And since it's sparser foliage up here, obviously you can hear that siren, but I can hear construction somewhere, I can hear that highway a bit. It's really interesting how once you get above the city, you can hear everything. Like I couldn't really hear the highway when I was down on the ground because there's barriers and stuff set up and buildings in the way. Up here you can hear everything, and since I can see through the branches here at the top of these steps, before I get onto the mountain proper, I can see the big stadium, whatever it is, the dome thing in Fukuoka. And then over next to it, it's like, oh yeah, there's Fukuoka Tower. Because that's another walk I'm going to take. Head to the tower. Because I was like, yeah, I don't remember that walk being so bad. And yeah, there it is. It's right there. Although, as usual, that's a terrible way to gauge a tower. Okay, into the mountain proper. So at 7-Eleven I got salted grilled mackerel onigiri. Super delicious. And speaking of Western Tokyo, when I was out that way trying to get to Kongo Falls, one of the things I did was I bought this like liter of coffee, of milk coffee, with a straw in the carton. And I got water too. Gotta have water, don't be insane. But I was really surprised how great fucking having a liter of coffee was just to sip on while you hike. Gives you that sugar energy, that coffee energy. I used to always buy just like Crunky or like weird little candies to eat halfway up the mountain. But I think for my sugar energy of choice, this carton of milk is so good. Just got to keep all my garbage with me, of course. It would be a crime to litter in this mountain. So especially where this path first starts. It's so rough. It's just like hewn into the rock. It feels more like a place where water just eroded something more than a proper path. But yeah, I'm basically on the ridge of the mountain. If I look down to one side, it's pretty steep. And then coming up on the right pretty soon, there should be an opening in the trees where you can see all across the city, or at least the western half of the city. And how I was saying that my Airbnb is this very distinctive 2-story yellow building with no obstructions in front of it. So yeah, I was looking down at the city from up here, and then I spotted the Airbnb, and it's like so cool. Such a cool feeling, because I was down at the Airbnb staring up at the mountain, and then I finally made it up the mountain, and I was staring back. I think this is a good sign too, like with not finding those stairs so difficult. I'm just pretty pleased that I seem to be in pretty good shape. I was a little concerned because when I was here before, it was only 4 years ago, but I didn't have a knee brace. I didn't have to wear fucking weird toe splints to keep bunions from forming. But I guess I've been hiking around quite a bit, like not only, oh hey, now I'm not scared of you, spider. What are these spiders called? Jora spiders? Yeah, there's one of these spiders with the yellow and black and green and red. It's all the colors. The one that was freaking me out so bad on Spider Mountain. But there's not as many spiders up here. And now I know the only dangerous spider is the black widow, which is only one of 50,000 varieties of spiders, so I'll probably be all right. But yeah, not only was I doing literal hiking in Western Tokyo, but just that I've been hiking in general. Oh, my Airbnb is 4 hours across Tokyo? Sure. Let me just load up my heavy book bag and maybe not carry it the whole way, but even with the little wheelie shit, it's surprisingly strenuous to wheel a heavy bag behind you for 4 hours. I think I'm just in pretty good shape. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Even just now, I mean, I'm just walking up this, and this is a steep ass fucking part at the start before it starts to level out. And I'm successfully podcasting. I'm not just like huffing and puffing. I just walked up those stairs. Fuck yeah, dog. That's another big advantage to coming to Japan. I like doing exercise, but I don't want to just do stale exercise. I've never had the gumption to like sign up to a gym. That seems very uncomfortable to me, just to get in your gym clothes and go to the gym and other people are around doing gym stuff. You may have gathered, I kind of prefer not to have a bunch of people around. And stuff like yoga I know would be good for me, but I find it mentally taxing. It's hard to just stop like that. It's like the meditation of exercise. It's very unexpectedly difficult to do. My favorite is practical exercise with a goal. And the goal, in this case, is just to explore. And it's just hard to do in Canada. Canada is too big, not necessarily well set up for not owning a car. Mountains are not easily accessible. And it's just not that interesting to me. Again, it's like it's too much. Hiking is like, you gotta be a hiker. You gotta buy all the hiking stuff and you gotta drive out somewhere and go hike. In Japan, you can just hike. It's just accessible. It's just easy. It's just here. Ah, yeah, here we go. Here's the break in the trees. There's my old Airbnb. Where's the 7-Eleven? Let's see. So if there's the greenhouse. Okay, there's the 7-Eleven. And then, yeah, it just stretches off into the distance, these endless mountains again. Just fucking awesome. This reminds me, too, I'd forgotten about this. I don't know if I'll get around to it this time either. But there's just this, like, mound. A bit just on the left side of where I'm looking. I guess there's kind of two of them, but there's one major one. Well, I guess there's kind of that one, too. I guess they kind of pop up all over, these little mounds of trees. Like, I guess because it's like the foot of the mountain, so there's just parts where the mountains bubble back up. But this one part, there's like apartment buildings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's hard to see from here, but I think they're 5 floors high. So this mountain is a bit higher than that. You know, it's like the equivalent of 7 or 8 stories. And it's just sitting there, boom, right in the middle of all the buildings. And it's just covered in trees. And I don't know if it is accessible. Is there a path that you can go up in there? I mean, I bet there's a shrine or something, you know? But when I was walking around on foot, you know, I feel like I walked all around that neighborhood, but it's just so much harder to navigate from the ground because you can't, I just never noticed it. I never saw it. But then I would come up here and I always see it. And I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? And I bet it's a lot harder to get to than it seems. This is one of the things I loved so much about that Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. Like, this is where you would just place the little marker, bong. So much of that game was to get to the high ground and look around, and that's how you determined where to go next. So much more organic and nice than, you know, I don't like video games that hold your hand too much, where it's just like, go here next, please. Follow the blinking arrow. Follow the dot on the mini-map. Like, even when I played Breath of the Wild, I played it after the Master Mode came out. So I played on Master Mode with the HUD, the Pro HUD. And I did that with Tears of the Kingdom too. There is no Master Mode, but the Pro HUD. Because I love using what's on screen to figure out where you are and how to navigate. And it's surprising how few games really let you do that. Kind of orienteer. And then obviously in real life, real life moves at a much slower pace than a video game, but that's still what I like. I still like this stuff. Here's another opening. I don't remember this one. Yeah, if I was staying in this neighborhood at that Airbnb, I would go try to figure out how to get to that tree mound for sure. As it is, it's a little out of the way for just a weird, pointless thing to do. And with my limited sunlight this time of year. But yeah, I think the best thing with this particular mountain, just depending on how invested you are in this podcast project, if you want to do a little extra credit work, is I'll obviously describe it as I'm attacking the mountain in the coming days from various paths and trying to redo my old routes and trying to find new routes and whatever. But I actually did a whole podcast about hiking up this mountain. It was kind of what showed me that this could be an interesting idea to do a travel podcast. Because during COVID, I have this other podcast called XO, Keith McNally's XO. I had to put my name in it because X and O is not only a common name, it's just too hard to search. But it's just a podcast where I just tell stories about stuff that I don't update very often, pretty rarely. But one of the things I did during COVID, because my mind wandered so often to this neighborhood and this mountain and walking on these trails, is I did a podcast just describing getting an Airbnb in this neighborhood, seeing the mountains in the distance, all the attempts I did trying to figure out how to get started on the mountain, because you do need to be kind of on the ridge, as I am now. Oh, another spider. Man, I'm so glad I looked these things up. And I know that they're not scary. In fact, the thing said like, oh, they're more scared of you, These spiders traditionally do not like people. But yeah, then I described the different paths I found while I was up here, because there was a bunch of different adventures I went on. First I found this one obvious path, and then this less obvious path to a cool shrine. And then I just got lost as fuck. But that ended up being cool. And then finally I knew on Google Maps I saw this supposed observation deck. It was surprising how hard it was to find, but that I found that. So if you're interested, the podcast episode is called Introvert's Holiday Fukuoka. So if you search Introvert's Holiday Fukuoka on any podcast service, or I think it's on YouTube as well, it'll come up, and it's just me rambling about this mountain. So it could be a good primer, just you'll know a little more what I'm talking about with this mountain and with its various routes and paths. And my initial plan is just to do the same runs that I did before. Because even though it took me 3 weeks last time and many trial and error things, it really boils down to about 4 different paths that I found. So it won't take too long to do them all again. And then I'll try new stuff and explore some more and see what else there is. And I feel like you could explore this mountain for fucking ever. It just goes on and on forever. I like this one particular part because it was right by my Airbnb. But now that I'm a little further away, there's probably plenty of other cool stuff to be found. Oh man, this part I'm on now. It had kind of turned into sort of a normal path for a bit, but this part looks like Castle Grayskull or something. It looks like a kid's toy with like a plastic gulch that you would like roll a boulder down to smack into the bad guy or something. Yeah, and there's definitely an additional, beyond people walking, there's like an extra groove in the middle that was obviously from water. Whew. Yeah, it's getting steep. I think I will take a little break until things flatten out a bit later on. But yeah, the other podcast, Introvert's Holiday Fukuoka, because that was also an initial possible name for this podcast, was Introvert's Holiday. But then it's just like, I don't know, people searching for introvert stuff would find it. And I mean, hey, maybe they would find this, maybe this would be up their alley. But I don't actually know anything psychologically or socially about being an introvert. I don't really know, and I don't care that much. So I just didn't want it to sound like, oh, this is going to be a podcast from some introvert expert who's going to tell you all about introvert stuff. I figured I could just let the proof be in the pudding on that shit. All right, let's take a little break till it stops being straight up. Whew, this is weird too, where I had that going back to the old Airbnb, seeing the old greenhouse and the old 7-Eleven and everything. It was that moment of like, whoa, again, stepping into your memories or whatever. It doesn't feel the same here, where this is great, but it's just like you can't get maudlin, you can't get sentimental about something when you're hiking up a mountain. That shit gets eradicated. It's like, you got other things to think about right now, buddy. You're sweating your dick off and you're halfway up a mountain. You can think about the beauty of the moment later. We don't have time for that right now. Whew, this thing is maybe even a little steeper than I remembered. And it's weird because you don't feel like you're on the ridge of a mountain most of the time, because there's foliage, greenery, trees all around you. But every once in a while you can peek through. And I think I can see through just better in general, since it's late November. When I was here before, it was like June or July or some shit. And I'm looking down at the city down there, and it's like, oh yeah, this checks out. This is exactly how high those mountains are, When you look at them from down there, it's like, whoa, look how high that is. But now that I'm up here and I'm looking down, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm exactly that high. All these little buildings are very fucking tiny. I can't see any cars from here. I can hear some in the deep distance, but I don't see any moving. Because it's just fun to watch cars move around. But yeah, this is at the point that it's like reminiscent of when you're taking off in an airplane. That's how small everything looks. It's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood down there. And it's sweet because I would describe myself as very scared of heights. One time I was at the Sky Dome, the Rogers Center in Toronto. Somebody had free tickets to a football game, and I don't care about sports. I only like pro wrestling. But I was like, I mean, if you really need someone to go and they're free, like, all right, I'll go. But they were really close to the edge, not right at the edge of the upper balcony part. I was like a seat or two behind, but I was terrified. I had to leave halfway through the game because it's just like, I'm so fucking high up. Again, what if someone grabbed me by the ankles and tipped me over? I would die. Unlikely scenario, but once it grips your mind. But luckily, it's only sheer drops that I don't like. There is one part up on this mountain that does feel that way, where there's like a big boulder that juts out over a huge cliff. And there's all these signs that say like, hey, I know it's beautiful, but do not climb out here for a picture, because if you fall, you will absolutely die. That part's scary. I don't like that part. But other than that, this is very similar to those mountains in Western Tokyo, where it's steep, I would get hurt. But if I fell down this thing, it just doesn't trigger my danger feeling at all, because it's a very wide path. There's no way. I could stumble all over the place. I could be drunk and I wouldn't fall down. It's fine. And even if I did, there's all kinds of trees and stuff and bushes and branches and, a lot of stuff that would break my fall. And I'm sure I would break bones. I might get a concussion. But I just would definitely not die. So I can be this high up and not be scared. It's the best of both worlds. I get to experience being high up and it's not scary. And thankfully, as again, who can predict a person's brains, There's people that have phobias of pickles and shit. You never know. Really, I think fear of heights, if I'm gonna have a phobia, it's a pretty good one to have because it makes some kind of sense. But luckily, it doesn't trigger on airplanes. an airplane just goes too high up and it gets too abstract. I might have ranted about this already on this podcast, but I feel very lucky about that, because if I had to force myself to fly, if I had to get up my gumption just to get in an airplane, that would be make a lot of things a lot harder in life. So I'd say mostly my fear of heights is quite harmless. It doesn't affect my life too much. But tall buildings, don't like it. Going up in towers, not gonna do it. And across bridges, unpleasant. I'll walk across a tall bridge if I have to, but I don't like it. And suspension bridges, ugh. I can't imagine ever doing that again. But yeah, this, again, best of all worlds, dude. It's no problem. So this is kind of nice. These signs, I've been passing all these signs, but unfortunately, the meter elevation is not written in normal numerology. It's a Japanese symbol and a circle and a circle. But here's one someone wrote that says 246 meters. So I presume, I don't know what that means. Is that 246 meters from sea level? 246 meters from the base of this mountain? 246 meters from where this path started? I don't know. And again, I mean, I guess I don't know what that actually means. The numbers don't matter. I don't know what they mean. But if anyone's curious, to some degree, I'm at 246 meters. Whew, man, and yeah, because I'm climbing pretty much straight up, very steep, I think it's more or less leveled out now. Now it's like just some up, some down. This fucking liter of coffee's almost gone. When I had this out west, trying to get to the waterfall, it took me all afternoon to drink this thing. Where here, it's almost gone already. And then I'll have to switch over to water, which is probably what I should be drinking anyway. But I feel like this is another great example of how I like to mix the, I'm not going to say highbrow and lowbrow, because I don't think nature is highbrow, but what is it? It's like, it's neither. It's not highbrow nor lowbrow. It's non-cultural. It's just the experience of the earth, you know? It's like outside of any value judgment. It's just the earth. It's automatically awesome and beautiful and worthwhile because it's the fucking earth. So yeah, it's like on the one hand, I'm like a little proud of like, yeah, I'm in the woods and I'm hiking and I feel like this is a good use of my time on earth. You know, like today, I'll get into it after, but I was up all night. And I was like, yeah, I could just take today off. Today could be a write-off. Just sit around and edit a podcast. And I'm still going to do that. But I was like, yeah, but I got 4 hours of sunlight. I can sit around and edit a podcast all night. It's going to be dark out. Is nothing. That's a great time to do such things. So I'm like a little proud that it's like, yeah, I had my 4 hours or 5 hours of sunlight ahead of me. And it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hike over to the mountain. And I'm going to take one of the paths that I've taken before that I know will not abandon me in the dark. And I'm going to do it. Fuck it. Fuck being tired. Fuck being exhausted. Fuck it. Fuck everything. Go hike. So I'm a little proud of myself that I did it. Because I mean, my whole early life was just a standard nerd of just like, I just want to be on the computer, please. But to go along with this, I'm still drinking a liter of coffee. Sugar coffee from the convenience store. And I'm just also, it's not like I'm any of these walks. Walking across the city, hiking through a mountain. I'm always listening to podcasts, and they're probably podcasts about Magic the Gathering. Or, you know, fucking AEW wrestling, you know, fucking video games, just stupid shit. I'm not listening to the fucking collected writings of the ancient scholars or anything. But I like that mix. I think it's just, it feels good not to, I don't know, I don't want to like push it, you know, I don't want to pretend that I'm something I'm not. I don't want to pretend I'm some big nature guy. I don't want to pretend that I'm some big smarty pants. But I do think inadvertently, you know, you can still be a shallow North American, tragically addled, not exactly the most useful member of the human race that has ever existed, and still have cool, useful, worthwhile experiences hiking on mountains and stuff. You can do both things. You don't have to give up your old couch potato internet ways to also do this stuff. You can do both. Yeah, it's getting low enough that the straw doesn't fit. Oh. But yeah, I think I didn't really describe the bottom that well. Let me just do that for the sake of bookkeeping, in case you did not go listen to my other podcast about this mountain. Like there's this giant mountain and it's just everywhere in the horizon. So I was like, what do I do? Do I just walk to it? How does one do this? How do you approach a mountain like this? But everywhere I tried was private property and fences and just tree lines that were impassable. Or, I mean, obviously these cliff sides, like if you don't find the path up the ridge of the mountain, you're not getting up the fucking mountain, And what I eventually discovered, it was that neighborhood I was saying that is like halfway up the mountain. I was like, let me just go explore that. So I just walked up the street, up this really steep street, and it's just houses and apartments and stuff, drink machine. And I spotted these steps that were like out of a fairy tale or out of a video game. I always think of the big scary steps in King's Quest 1, or would always come to mind for me. Jeez, this spider web is so big. None of the other spiders have reacted, but this one's moving. But I'm like, I think I bumped into his web a little bit, but I'm like, guy, what do I do? I'm not trying to fuck with you. Okay, I think I passed by. It's all right. Sorry, Mr. Spider. And yeah, those are the super duper long, they actually weren't the ones I came up, they're on the other side. These super duper long steps. And then I realized the super duper long steps went down the other side, and at the top is a little resting area with some benches. And yeah, just this very path that I'm on now that is just so, I was like, is that, am I supposed to go in there? It does not look inviting. There was a little sign I couldn't read that said something. But this is such a underdeveloped path. It's not as much as the one by the golf course in Western Tokyo, but it's close. But I think this is what inspired me to check out stuff like that. Like, what is this path that looks impassable or that has warning signs or warnings about boars and stuff? I think it's worth checking out at least a little, because this one paid off like crazy. Once you get up this part of the path, the rest of it is quite a bit more developed. This is like the weird back door into the mountain. There it is. It's like I hear an airplane and I don't see it, but there it is. And yeah, once I found that other route up, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, I could not believe how close it is. It's just like, all right, here's my Airbnb. I literally just walk a teeny little bit to a street, across the street, and there's the local 7-Eleven. Fuel up at the 7-Eleven, walk less than a block, turn, walk a block, turn again, and there's the steps, a couple of blocks in the distance. Like, it's all so accessible, it's crazy. But also really not used. I mean, I have met people up here before, but not a ton. And nobody today. But it's an interesting thing, because if you look up Mount Aburayama, everything that people have on YouTube is not this. It's some part of the park or the observation deck or anything. It's like, it's something that I've never been to. I still don't know what it is. It's like whatever the major actual part of the park is, I've never been there. Oh, well, what is this? In my memory, this path was very straight. There were no, there's no way to go a different route until you get to like a paved road part where it's extremely obvious that you're still up on the mountain, but you're in civilization again. But here is a sign which had to have been here before, because it's extremely weathered. But there's another little sign hanging to this tree with an arrow. Maybe that's new. But what the heck is this? Because it's the other way. It's like another route on the ridge. And I'm not going to lie, my inclination is heavily to go down this other path. Where does this go? But it's already 10 minutes after 4. It might stay light a little bit longer here in Fukuoka. I'm not totally sure yet. But I just can't go down a path I've never been down before if it's going to get dark. Yeah, and unfortunately, the translator, it's a really weathered sign. It can't read this. Okay, what about this smaller one? It's hand painted, so I don't like my chances. Nothing. All right, well, here's something I've never tried before because I didn't have a phone with cool GPS before. What if we do that? What if I check my location? Where am I? Well, that's pretty interesting. I mean, there's no details at all. It's just a big blank spot for the mountain, but it does have like where the observation deck is, and it does have, yeah, this road. There's a road on here that I believe is what my plan is, because that's like, it's a paved road. It's like a forestry access road. So if I get to that, it's pretty close to here, and from there, it's fine. You know, if I walk down that in the dark, no biggie. But yeah, this other path, I'm so curious, because I mean, it looks like it'll just spit me out just off to the side somewhere. It's probably no big deal to go down this, but I am pretty smack dab in the middle of the mountain here. I mean, the sun seems like it's still really high in the sky, much higher than it would have been at 10 after 4 in Tokyo. Fuck it. God fucking damn it, whatever. I'm walking down it now. It's just because the other path, I mean, I've done it before. I know what it is. Basically, I'll tell you what the other path is. So you get to the top of this path and you hit a paved road. And from there, you can go even higher and deeper up into the mountains, which I want to do at some point because I did that a little bit before and had some adventures. And then there's a really difficult to see path that goes to the observation deck, because I was just approaching it from the wrong way because I came in this weird back door path. But once I found it, that was pretty cool. But then the first thing I did, which is what I was going to do today, is seeing the paved road. I was like, well, you can't deny a paved road. You know, that'll get me out of here. And that first day, because I hadn't realized what I had stumbled upon, it just kind of happened. I didn't have any water or anything. I was dying, so I wanted that paved road to get me out of here. All right, here is, I can stay along the ridge of the mountain, although it's very not well trodden, or I can go down the mountain, but it's pretty steep. And there's no like guide rope or anything. So let's just keep trying to go along this path. Maybe I've already hit the end of this thing. I don't know, it does seem like I'm still just on the ridge of a mountain and I'm gradually going down. And I mean, I can see through the trees like city right there. I've only been hiking up here for like an hour. Yeah, okay, this is pretty, obviously people don't take this path, but it is a distinct path heading down the ridge. Yeah, I think this will be okay, because I do have like at least an hour before it gets dark. Okay, now here it looks like it's flattening out into more of a proper path. Yeah, I just gotta know, you know. I ran the calculations. I feel quite confident I will not get trapped up here in the dark. Though, to reiterate, that would be terrible, because it would be literally pitch black. And this path is not as good as the other path. But this is obviously another strange backdoor method to get up this mountain. So I just got to know where it originates. Where is the secret entrance that brings you to this path? I must know. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow and come do this again. Fuck it. I'm doing it now. Got to know. And the path is actively going downward, so we're exiting the mountain. We're not going deeper in. Famous last words. This should be fine. Dang though, yeah, it's really overgrown in some of these parts. Nobody uses this fucking path. This will be a one-time ever adventure. But yeah, this is what I mean about if I was an old man who lived near here and I could just spend my days fucking mapping out the mountain. Not literally, but just in my brain. Oh shit. I almost walked into a spider web. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Anyone worrying, fucking heart in their throat, like, oh no, Keith, what are you doing? You're gonna die. There's one of those spiders, great big spider web right in front of the path, and yeah, I can just see the route that just keeps going down the mountain. But obviously just no one's been along this for ages, and this is exactly what happened to me on that spider mountain. I can see another spider web further down. It's just too much of a pain if no one's been through here in ages and they haven't cleared out the spider webs. It's just not worth the effort. But for the record, I bet this is where this thing's going. Based on how I'm pointing, there's a shrine. Bairinji Shrine. Bairinji. And I have found shrines in the woods before. It's really cool just to stumble upon a cool random shrine. So I bet this leads to that shrine. I bet that's pretty neat. And then it would pop me out not at all far from the 7-Eleven and Umebayashi. Higashi-Otani Park. God damn it. I really want to I want to see if that's all true. I want to experiment with that. But what am I supposed to do about the spiders? Fuck. Because I can't really go around spiders very well because I'm on a mountain ridge. Well, anyway, I'm going to put this recorder away and figure it out because I got to pick one or the other. I got to sally forth or go back. I don't have time to dawdle. So let's check back in when something wonderful or horrible has happened to me. Oh, just walked through a spider web. All right, so I'm a little further down the mountain now. I got a hoodie that it's way too warm to wear, but I just put it on, so I just got an extra layer instead of just a t-shirt, just to bushwhack through a little. Because yeah, this is totally, it's a path. It's just a path, it's no biggie. It's just quite overgrown. It's definitely not in use. But this is fine. I know, I should reiterate, this really is no big deal, where I think that's one of the neat things maybe about doing an audio travel thing is, you know, the mind pictures, you know, I can talk about crap or just be in a place and you can kind of imagine it and it's, you know, not as accurate as a video, but maybe it'll feel more like you're there, you know, like reading a book versus watching a movie maybe, that's my theory. But in cases like this, or the other mountain I was on, I can imagine myself as a listener being like angry, like, what is this fucking moron doing? What the fuck? So I should reiterate in this case, because it's just audio, it's probably easy for the version in someone's imagination to be a lot worse than it is. Like I'm looking down through the trees and like all the Fukuoka's right there, you know, it's right there. Like I said, I've only been hiking for like probably less than an hour. And it's been straight up. I haven't exactly been making grand progress. I think even if you go straight through even, I'm quite sure that the back of this mountain is just more city. I think you could just cut straight across, though I've never done that. But yeah, this definitely, I'm sure, sounds like a bigger deal than it is. And there's a post, you know, there's markers that I'm going the right way. The spiders are annoying. There's another big spider web I got to get around, but this actually might even be better because I'm very distinctly going down, you know, I'm like down the mountain. Let's get out of this mountain. Where the access road I was going to go on, the reason I was going to do that one is because it's just a paved road. So even if it got dark, it's just a nice paved road and I've actually been down it before. I know everything to expect. Not only is it a paved road, but it's like blocked off at the other end because it's only for forestry vehicles. It's a paved road that there can't even be traffic on. Safest of the safe, but it really takes a long time because obviously vehicles can't go up a steep grade up the mountain it has to really meander its way down the mountain. So it actually was a really long walk on that road. So realistically, it was gonna get dark probably before I got down that road. I just knew it would be no biggie, because I would not love to pull out the fucking cell phone light and go down this overgrown path with my fucking flashlight, but I could do it on the paved road if I had to. In future days, by the way, I very much intend to get started earlier on these adventures. Today is just because it's my first day in Fukuoka. I didn't have my shit together. Left a little bit late. Geez, that part really sucked. But again, now I'm back on a path. So yeah, ultimately, I think this will be better, because this will actually get me off the mountain before dark. Yeah, there's the city. Hello. Hello, Fukuoka. Geez, this path really sucks. Here's a nice big red marker, big plastic red marker, poked into the ground. Nice little periodic reminders that it's like, yep, you're still on the path. But I mean, you have to be, because again, this is like the ridge of the mountain. There's no other option. There is nothing on either side. It just slopes down way too much. Walking on the ridge is the only choice you got. But what's interesting about this is where I just don't retain information that well if it's just pure information. You know, it's like, what's the context? Why do I care? You know, it generally doesn't really stick in my head. So I love just kind of learning stuff on my own, because that's the shit that I might not know all the specific details, though there sure is a generation of fucking internet nerds that think just because they can look up anything that they're smart. But you're fucking not. You're fucking annoying. Anyone can look shit up. So I might not know all the specific details about this phenomenon, but I'm observing it myself, which is my preferred way to, even if I'm only learning in a half-assed way. But what the phenomenon is that it's very clear this path is not in use anymore. And I don't know for how long, but for the sake of argument, let's say 5 years. Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 2 years. I don't know how, that's what I mean by I don't know the specific information. I don't know how fast ferns grow. But there's definitely parts on this trail, like it's all or nothing. It's either, it's like, oh yeah, there's the trail. It's extremely clear that this was at one time a trail people used, and it's still a trail, and you can just walk on the trail and it's no problem. And then there's parts where it's just like, what the fuck? Where did it go? Why is the trail just gone? And I realized it's always these ferns. The ferns, wherever those are on the trail, they've had a very easy time reclaiming the territory. I mean, there were some parts where I'm just walking through shin-high ferns with no path at all. You know, the path is gone. I'm just walking through the ferns, and it's just, again, because I'm on the ridge of the mountain, it's obvious that I'm still just on the ridge, so I just keep walking. There is no other option. But anywhere without the ferns, the path has held strong. Nature has not been able to reclaim. So that's just one of those things that's just neat. It's neat to know, to kind of see firsthand a little example of what it's like when nature reclaims a space. That there are definitely levels of nature, types of flora that have no problem. 5 years after society collapses, there will be ferns everywhere. But when there's not ferns, it's going to take a lot longer, and those paths shall remain. Damn it, another fern part. It's just so annoying. These ones are a lot taller. Yeah, it's just a little awkward because I can't see my footing, so I'm going to put this fucking recorder away. There's also trees everywhere, so I can easily... It's like having your hand on a handrail or near a handrail as you go downstairs, just in case. Not something I ever thought about when I was younger, but now I'm like, oh, you know, why not? The handrail's here for a reason. Keep your hand... Don't put your hand in your pocket. Be ready to grab the handrail in case you trip on the stairs. Similar here, I can easily keep my hands within grabbing distance of trees at all times. There's a whole bunch of them. You can slalom down here. Man, I certainly hope that sign up there that my translator couldn't read says something along the lines of don't fucking bother with this shit. Because yeah, that was much worse than the similar path in West Tokyo where there was the sign that said don't take this path. This one was way shittier than that. And in the end, I think it's a similar problem. It's because the final descent or ascent, if you're approaching from this way, I'm just looking back behind me. And it's like, yeah, you're just climbing up a valley gorge. It's just uncomfortably steep. And again, tons of trees. I was just holding on to trees as I went down, no biggie. Oh, look at that, red ribbon in the tree. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. And yeah, now it's the same thing that happened for anyone who did go listen to the Fukuoka Introverts Holiday podcast. When I got turned around on one of the paths and I just decided to just go down the hill, down the mountain and just get out of there. Very similar thing. This one was steeper. But you just go down the ridge of the mountain till you get to water. Got to a stream. And now it's pretty much flat. Still very overgrown and annoying, but it's not steep anymore. So I just got to follow this. So it did not take me to that shrine. Instead, it's looping me quite distinctly right back to the 7-Eleven. It's like my fucking North Star, my destiny. But yeah, I'd say that was far less akin to walking on a mountain path. It just devolved into just walking up a mountain, or unfortunately down a mountain this time. That was instead of a little appetizer where I was like, oh, I'll just go take the easiest route. I'll just hike up the main path to the paved road and walk down it. That'll be my appetizer for the mountain. Instead, I got too much mountain today. What time is it now? 4:49. Still light out, but surely there's not much left. Let's see if the map, what do you have to say to me, map? But yeah, now I'm on a path again, just next to a nice empty little stream with no water in it this time of year. Kind of looping. Still totally missed that shrine, Barinji Shrine. But I'm heading directly to the edge of the mountain, to just streets and back to normal. What is this? Higashiotani Park. And next to it is another park with a Japanese name. You know what I think those are? I think those are those mounds I was talking about earlier. So if it's a park with a name, again, it's just darn, I just don't have enough daylight. It's like I'm right there. But that's a good sign. If it's a park with a name, there must be something there. If I don't do that today, I will do it in the future. Yeah, this part's actually great. So like when I first got on that path, it wasn't too bad, although it pretty quickly devolved. This part's really nice. This is again just a nice wide path. It's clear people don't use it anymore, but it's still there. It hasn't been overtaken at all. Goes next to this gorge. Oh, now there's some water down there, some kind of swampy looking water that has not evaporated. This part's freaking beautiful. But yeah, I guess that's the problem, is that this is functionally a dead end because you just have to scramble up an actual fucking mountain. Or in my case, I had to scramble down it. And it's just, yeah, that wasn't that hard. It's not like I was like, oh no, what have I done? But it was annoying. It's certainly not anything I would ever recommend. But then on the other hand, on the other hand, I mean, I'll definitely never take this route again. But this specific place where I am right now, damn, this is nice. Then on the other side, there's like another gorge. So I'm kind of like in a deep valley, but I'm on like a little mini ridge in between the two valleys. I mean, this is fucking beautiful. But how would you ever get here unless just you're stumbling around like an idiot and basically, well, I mean, I guess I wasn't stumbling around. There was an arrow. There was an arrow pointing this way. But it should have had a little sign with my, what are those hats called? that in old movies and in old video games, it's like the jungle adventurer, the pith hat or something. But I needed that. I needed my machete. I needed my whip. Basically, I needed all my Indiana Jones gear for this. Instead, I had a carton of coffee and an audio recorder to make a podcast because I'm a fucking weird idiot. Yeah, this is great though. God damn, this is nice. But it's so weird. It's such useless information. I can't tell anybody how to come to here. I can't tell anyone how to see this. Even I will never see this again. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see where it comes out on the other side. Maybe it comes out in some very obvious area. But that it didn't connect to that shrine, I was like, shit. That's clearly the landmark in the area. And I'm not even going there. I'm going nowhere. I'm just literally exiting the mountain. It seems like it's pointing me toward what looks like there is a little road that creeps into the mountain. Maybe it's another access road, and it leads to Bodhi Temple. So okay, try 2. We still might make it to a temple. It's not too late. Here we go. Signs of civilization. Garbage that people dumped. Delightful. Got like an old fridge. Random plastic things that I don't know what they are, big pot looking stuff. And here's just a bunch of logs. Yeah, now I'm on a road, not paved or anything, but definitely big enough for a truck or a car. I guess big enough for people to come dump their shit. God damn it. This is very similar to the West Tokyo experience. But yeah, here we go, on a normal road. Definitely out of the woods now. Sun's still up, but I do see that nice glow happening behind the mountains to my south, to my left. But yeah, it's like the only really useful piece of mountaineering advice that I know, that I think I learned from that book Hatchet, if I remember right, is once you get to water, I mean, in this case, it didn't really matter. It was all very clear where to go. But just seeing the stream, even though the stream was empty in this case, but you know, it's evident which way it was meant to run. Geez, there's just a whack of plastic. I don't know what these are. They're like trays, but I don't know what they're for. Trays for something, kind of big plastic trays. There's just a pile of them. Oh, and a spider. I really am glad that I learned about these spiders already. If today was my first experience with the spiders, it would have gone significantly worse. I would have been a lot, I mean, I guess I wouldn't have done this. I just would have seen the spiders and been like, well, I don't want to die. Now I was more just concerned that I didn't want to fuck with them, didn't want to mess with their shit. All right, here's some factory stuff going on. Big warehouse. The tiller and a backhoe and stuff. Oh. The 5 o'clock song, which in this case is the get out of the dang mountains song. So I did it. Perfect. As soon as I'm at my first building, the fucking song starts playing. Amazing. But this is what I came here to do, is just to fill out my knowledge of this mountain even more, and I certainly did that. I know which path not to take. It was only because the sun was going down that I do think this was, I would consider this a dumb choice, but it's still plenty light out, and I made it. And yeah, again, I really wasn't that far. This is all, I mean, this is borderline fake hiking, you know? You get the feeling of hiking, but I'm always so close to civilization. But again, that's what I like. That's what I love about Japan. This is 7-Eleven adjacent, all of this, and it's still like a fucking hike through the woods and the mountain and the fucking spiders and shit. You know, it's like, yeah, if I was in North America doing shit like this, I just wouldn't be, you know? That's where it's like, yeah, you legitimately just get lost. Oh, I never finished what I was saying, is water. If you do find water, you can follow the flow of the water, because water always flows downhill, and is guaranteed to go somewhere. You know, that classic thing where people don't realize that they're walking in circles when they're lost in the woods, which is certainly something I would absolutely fucking do. I always think I'm walking straight when I'm not, which I guess in that case you just try to follow the sun. I don't know. Hopefully I'll never be in that situation. But yeah, once you see a stream, water of any kind, just follow it. It'll take you somewhere, and at the very least you'll be traveling, you know, toward something, not just circling around. But yeah, I think it's safe to say this old garage with all of these fucking vehicles in it is not a shrine. Where am I? Ding, okay, I'm not on the access road that leads to the shrine. I am on a different road. Yeah, again, this is just how utterly, like, this road I'm on, it sends me to a Japanese thing that I couldn't read, so I had to zoom in. It's the little handbag icon that signifies a store, and it's a florist. I'm fucking minutes away from a florist right now. Guest house Terasu. Geez, if I want to stay in this neighborhood. I've never really branched out beyond Airbnb stuff. Guest house Terasu, though, is fucking right here. Holy shit, I should look into that too. Just down the road from my precious local 7-Eleven. Sweet. Oh, just a second. That seemed like the perfect idyllic end. Got down off the mountain, the little 5 o'clock song was playing, everything was in its right place. But I was like, okay, while I'm here, sun's still up, I got a little time where I can see what's going on. I think that tree mound I was talking about, that whatever park or something, I think I can see it over here. But it is going to be too dark to do that probably. But anyway, I wanted to see what this guest house Terasu thing was on the map, and it just seems like a building, I guess. I have to do some research, but if it is the thing, I love this neighborhood. However, I walked past, I love to just walk past a machine I've never seen before. So we got 3 standard drink machines, we got a cigarette machine, and then we've got one of these semi-fancy ones. Like, these pop up from time to time, where you can get gourmet meals and stuff, frozen meals for various high amounts of money. And I saw the one the other day with the steak for almost $40. So this one you can get some kind of ramen for $11. It's called Gourmet Stars. Yakitori for $800. Different stuff. But the 2 things that are interesting, there's a ice cream on a stick with little candy sprinkles on it. But I was like, yeah, that's interesting, but I probably wouldn't get that. But for 500 yen, and I happen to have a 500 yen coin right here, strawberries. So I gotta see what kind of strawberries come out of this machine. Okay, it's number 7 or 8 for strawberries. We'll go with 8. Jesus, okay, I gotta translate. Oh, maybe I don't. There's a little British flag up here. Nice. Okay, good, because the button I thought was confirm was back. The other one is add to cart and buy. Can I just press buy directly? Uploading, please wait a moment. $0 change. Add to cart, I guess, is so you can order a bunch of things and then pay with your credit card, I guess. All right, I got a plastic container with 6. Not bad. 6 strawberries for $5. Less than $1 a berry. Let's see how frozen these are. Can I eat one of these right now? All right, so you open up the container, and each individual berry is in its own little wrapper, of course, because it's Japan. Wait, I should see if my translator app can... It's not good at translating text that's against an image, but there is text on the images of these strawberries. So maybe, like... Is there a prefecture or something that's famous for strawberries? Is there something special about these strawberries? Let's give it a try. It does say 6 pieces. It definitely says that they're frozen. The word ice is popping up. 500 yen. And yeah, the rest is just random words that every time I point it, it's a different word. So no dice there. I mean, maybe they're Fukuoka strawberries, right? It's one of the rare Japanese words I know, Ichigo, but I only know it because there's a anime, Ichigo 100%, which I've never seen, but I know the name for some reason. All right, let's try one of these strawberries, see if I want to break my teeth or if I can eat this thing yet. Geez, though, this is actually valuable recon. I don't know if I want to stay at this guest house. It's this building on the corner as far as I can tell. There's a little like iPad thing outside the door. But this street sucks. It's hard to believe I was just on a mountain. This is fucking industrial way. There's so many trucks and stuff going by. All right, this feels pretty frozen. I don't think I'm eating this thing yet. Nope, it is strawberry ice. But stay tuned. I won't end the episode till I try one of these strawberries. I'll wait till they melt, till they're thawed a bit, and then I'll try one. All right, since I was near the conspicuous lump of trees that, seeing them from up on the mountain reminded me like, oh yeah, I saw those all the time before, and I always wondered what it was. And I made it. I'm up on the top, and it's amazing. It's like 95% dark, but that 5% is worth everything. It's like you can still see normally. It's still fine. It's just dim. But yeah, we're very close to the point where it's going to be wicked dark. And this specific part is not lit, but it's fine. The rest is lit, just the very peak is not. But this is called Noke Kushida Shrine, Nokekushida. And yeah, I had to circle around because there's just a bunch of apartments, buildings and stuff. And then I saw the gates, the Torii gate with the street light, the street lamp. So I was like, all right, let's go on in. And then the main floor. It is weird, like I'm at this point now that I've been here a month again on my second visit to Japan, where at the same time it's like this is both the coolest, best thing I've ever seen and just another shrine. You know, it's a very nice shrine, but there's so many shrines. It's like on the one hand I'm stuck in the middle where I'm like, this is amazing. If this was the first shrine I ever saw, I would be blown away. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a shrine, cool. But then there's these extra steps. So I came up the extra steps, and there's just a teeny little shrine up here. And it has these stone doors. I was like, can I open the stone doors? I just want to see if anyone left an offering. And they didn't with this one. Nothing's in there. But when I opened it up, it's not even a statue of the Buddha or anything. It's like a little house-looking stone enclosure. There's incense things on either side. You know, really cool ornate lamp looking things, but I think they're for burning incense. And inside is just a stone. Just a pretty large, smooth stone about the size of my head. And I'm like, is this a joke? It's just a rock. What is this? In my ignorant ways, I still know nothing. Oh, wait a second. Okay, here's a little path. I'm sure there's nothing up here, but because I'm not technically at the peak. So let's just go up the little path just a little bit further. Cool there, just so I can technically say I'm at the top. And yeah, from here you can see a sort of a view through the trees. But nice, mark that off the bucket list, I did it. But the other thing, as I was closing the little stone doors on the shrine, a little lizard or a gecko or something, I don't know anything about lizards because we just don't got those in Canada, it's too cold. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm in Kyushu now, I'm down south, you know? The first time I saw a lizard here in Fukuoka was in a public washroom, and it was just clinging to the ceiling just as easily as anything, as though gravity were reversed. It was just hanging out, clinging to the ceiling. And it's like, whoa. In this case, it was just next to the doors, just hanging out there. And it's like, oh yeah, lizards. I forgot about that. But anyway, since there's this one strawberry that I opened, I realized I can put the other ones in my pocket and it's no big deal because they're each individually packaged. So as they thaw, it's no problem. But this one I opened, I have to eat it because the package is open. So this is how I will, geez, I guess I could leave it. That's an interesting idea. I shouldn't. I just don't understand anything about the customs. Like that seems like exactly the kind of thing somebody would leave as an offering. So tomorrow when somebody opens up the shrine, maybe they'd go like, oh, look at that. Somebody left an 85-cent strawberry. How fancy. But again, I just don't know the delineation between offering and garbage. Would they be like, who left their fucking garbage in here? So I'm just gonna try to gnaw this thing. Let's just try to eat this frozen strawberry. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's already much easier to eat. And this is how I will show my worship. Wow, it's really good. God damn. Yeah, I've always heard about the like crazy expensive, like that fruit is really expensive in Japan, but it can be worth it, or it can just be expensive. But this doesn't taste like a normal strawberry. This tastes like strawberry candy. Man, it's fucking good. Maybe it is strawberry candy. Like, how could you do this to a strawberry? How can you make the inside taste like cream? Maybe they did just inject the middle with cream. I don't know, it's pretty dark now. I can hardly see what I'm eating. Well, can't complain about that. Finally got to find out what this mountain was, this weird little mountain that's just right in the middle of the residential neighborhood. Turns out it's a beautiful shrine. And what better way to remember this moment than a fucking delicious strawberry that I got from a vending machine after I finished hiking on a mountain. Like, Japan feels like it's not real. I mean, I don't think it's coincidental that while I was stuck at home during COVID, like that I would daydream about Japan and that it sort of didn't seem real. I never did this with Montreal. I never did this with New York. I never did this with Amsterdam. To an extent I did with Vancouver, but that was different. I mean, Vancouver maybe also is visually striking in a similar way to Japan, where it's got the mountains and it's got all the nature. So that does help. But I think in Vancouver it was more, that was the first big city I moved to. And the first time I got like real jobs that weren't just working at a comic shop, and first time I got an actual girlfriend, and all these experiences happened to me. So that was more after I had left and I hadn't been back to Vancouver in like 7 years. It started to take on a mythic quality in my mind. Not only because the place was nice, but that was more just because of the things that happened to me in life. I was like, geez, it was kind of like remarkable how I was just some schlub hanging out working at a comic shop. And I moved to Vancouver, and just in short order, I was like a real citizen, which I'm obviously not anymore. But there was a time there where it's like, I got an apartment, and I got a job, and I got a relationship, and I'm a normal person. And it didn't take. but so many remarkable things happened so quickly that had a certain unreal feeling to it. When I went back to visit after 7 years, it was a little bit like, whoa, I'm walking back into my own past. So I guess Japan doesn't feel that way on that deep personal level, because I didn't do fucking anything in Japan. All I did in Japan was wander around, eat convenience store food, lose my passport. I didn't do fucking anything. Similarly to how I'm not doing anything this time. I'm like, ooh, strawberries from a machine. Don't mind if I do. But it's just that the place is fucking wild, man. It is just crazy. How the fuck do you go from secondhand shop to 7-Eleven to literally fucking bushwhacking your way through the goddamn jungle, going up and then coming down a mountain, buying strawberries out of a machine, walking to the local beautiful, perfect, picturesque, movie-like temple that's just in a neighborhood around some houses, and I see a car down there. Like, how is this all together? How is this all one experience? A stone shrine with a fucking gecko next to it. It's fucking amazing. And I can still see the, now we're at 2% daytime, but it's like the nice dusk light. Geez, yeah, this would be bad. Can you imagine? I'm just thinking now, if somehow I was still up on that mountain when it was this dark, yikes. But if I did take that access road, even my safe route, it would be fine. Just walking along the paved road, but it would probably be, I'd probably still be there. I'd probably be getting toward the end of it by now, but in a dumb way, I think I made the right choice. But anyway, okay, I keep thinking this episode's over and I just keep doing stuff. Anyway, strawberry was delicious. Again, I don't know, probably won't buy any more strawberries from a machine. I'm just like, my dad was kind of like this too. Like anytime you went to the supermarket, if something said new, we're going to try it. It's like, oh, terrible brand name frozen jerk chicken, eh? Okay, let's see. Oh, what's this? It's all fucked up and terrible? All right. But it said new on it. We had to try it once. I'm somewhat that way as well. I mean, yeah, if I see a fucking vending machine with something in it that I've never tried before that is somewhat reasonable, that's not a $40 steak, something I can actually use, I gotta do it. When I see a mound, a mystery mound in the middle of town, I gotta see what's there. And in fact, I mean, my dad used to take me and my brother like hiking around rock quarries and stuff. He'd like take the dogs on a walk and he'd take us with him, and we went on some pretty wild fucking don't fall down the side. Don't need to tell your mom that they let your head get smashed open. So let's just dedicate this whole day to my dad, who on the other hand would probably hate the travel, would hate sleeping in a bed that wasn't his, would certainly hate trying to eat sushi and stuff. but the all-purpose adventuring part, I think he would approve. For sure. Am I supposed to be at more of a Buddhist place if I'm paying homage to the dead? I don't know. I never did figure it out, and I'm probably not gonna. This will be fine. The shrine on the mountain, for my own personal observances, this is more than good enough. All right, it's dark now. I gotta start getting on home. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you next episode. Adios.